Hey friend, welcome to the Branding with Jade podcast. I'm Jade, also known as the Aussie Adventuress, and I left the high-flying corporate world to chase my dreams and build an online business. Now, my biggest passion is teaching you how to get paid to be yourself doing what you love. If you want my secrets on all things personal branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and making money doing what you love, then lovely, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Branding with Jade podcast. I apologize, I'm actually a day late this week. I know my days have just rolled together and got a bit lost this week because it was the Australia Day long weekend, and despite the controversy around this holiday, it is still one of my favorite days because it's about it's about celebrating the country that I'm so lucky to live in. It is such a beautiful country, rich culture, rich history, and I just love living here. And so it's always been a celebration that I've really enjoyed. And I didn't drink or anything. I actually had a completely sober Australia Day, but we were out at a friend's house and stayed out quite late. And so Monday, I still had a pretty lazy day. And then yesterday, I thought Freddie was actually going to be leaving for work and be going for a few weeks. So I just wanted to spend the day with him. Turns out he's not leaving until the weekend now, but it was still nice to just spend the day together and not worry about work. And after all, that's what having this kind of business is all about. It's about flexibility and freedom to work on your own terms. So as much as I do try to be consistent and I do try to stick to a steady routine, especially with a podcast, because people get to know that and they expect it to come out on a certain day, and then by staying consistent, you build a stronger trust factor. Sometimes things just don't go that way, and it's okay to be like that, and it's good to accept that and not dwell on it or feel bad about it, because it's your business and it's okay to do things your way. Now, that being said, as I do get more organized, I do intend to batch and record and have them scheduled ahead of time, but at the moment, I haven't really had a lot of time alone. We had lots of visitors over Christmas and all of that. So it's just easing back into the routine and just getting stuff done. But here I am this week, and this is actually a bit of an impromptu topic as well. I had something else planned, but someone asked this question on one of my posts, one of my listeners, and I thought it was a really important topic to delve a little deeper into. And I thought, while she's asked the question and it's something she's thinking about, why not do the topic this week so it's actually really helpful for her? So this is going to be elaborating on how to establish a personal brand on social media, and that's what I covered in a little bit of depth back in episode 3. So if you haven't listened to that one and you're wondering about building a brand on social media, then that's an episode to go back and listen to, as this is going to extend on that one. So what I want to do today is elaborate on this topic a little more. And what I'm specifically going to be talking about is how to set up your accounts for optimum results. And this is around the topic of public profiles versus private profiles. So the question my listener recently asked was around creating new profiles and keeping one private and making other ones public, and how should she do it, and that kind of thing. And so I really wanted to go into this topic because it is an important one, and it's one that people don't really think about the implications, and they're not so sure about how to do it. So it's something worth thinking about early on, so that you can make a plan and come up with the right strategy to suit you. Because if you share a lot of your personal life on social media, you may not necessarily want that to be in the public eye, and you don't necessarily want every element of what you share with your friends and family to be out in the public, and vice versa. You may not want to share your business with your friends and family early on. So sometimes it can help to have separate profiles, or it can help to have like a private Facebook group or a fan page that's separate to your personal profiles so that you can keep them quite separate. As you go on and your business evolves and your friends and family become more and it all starts to mold together a little more, then you'll probably find that you just do everything on the one profile. But when you're starting out, it is quite normal to want to be a little bit cautious. You may be worried about what other people, and you shouldn't worry about this, but it is quite a natural thing that we do. We tend to not want to broadcast things like this to friends and family because we're worried about what they think or the judgment, or if it goes wrong, what are they going to think? And so a lot of times I do see people starting new profiles, and it just gives them that freedom and confidence to show up unapologetically and as exactly as who they are, because they're not worried about all the people that they know that could be judging them. And you may find that when you create these new profiles, your friends and family end up gravitating towards following you anyway, and they will be more supportive than you actually expected them to be. But it's on their terms then. So then you don't have to feel guilty necessarily if that's something you're inclined to do. If you just start posting on your personal profile and you're worried, then if they've come to follow you, that's their choice. And then you don't have to feel those feelings of, oh my God, what are they thinking? And holding back, because the last thing you want to do is hold back in your business and not go guns blazing and not go all out because you're worried about what people will think. So if that's something that is a concern to you, then sometimes just starting fresh and creating new profiles can be super liberating, and it can really give you that freedom to go all out, to share all the content you want to share, and to not be afraid of what people are thinking, because the last thing you want to do is to start a business and then be too scared to share anything because you're worried about what Sally that you went to high school with 10 years ago that has nothing to do with you anymore might think and might judge you. It's the way our brains work. It's something that takes a long time to overcome, and if it is something you're worried about, then sometimes starting fresh is a good way to go. So this is the topic I wanted to talk about. And on the flip side as well is the whole public versus private profile, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't want my profile to be public because of the risks of like data protection, people stealing identities, people knowing, being able to stalk you and all of that kind of stuff. Like there's so many things that people think about with social media, and you are being quite vulnerable when you open up online, and there are risks involved. So if you want to keep your personal life a bit more private, and if you want to keep the things that you do with your friends and family a bit more private, then sometimes it is nice to just have that personal profile for your friends and family where you share the things where you go meet your friends' babies and things like that, because that's something I always considered. I didn't want to be posting photos of my friends' babies in a public forum where there's random people from all over the world following me, because they may not want their personal lives being broadcast like that. So it's about considering who you're sharing and whether that's okay to them as well. And so when I first started my business, I did keep everything very separate. I actually have never made a separate Facebook profile, purely because Facebook didn't let me. I tried to do it with a different email. I tried to do it with a different name, like just not using my middle name and things like that, but it kept picking up that it was a duplicate profile or something. So I never ended up going down that route of setting up a separate Facebook profile. But what I did was I did the Facebook fan page and the private Facebook group. So that way, if people wanted to see my business, they could join me in my private group, and that was their choice. So if friends and family wanted to see what I was up to, that was fine. I would welcome them in, but it was on their terms. They could join me. And so some people do create separate Facebook profiles that are public and keep their personal profile private to just their friends and family. So that is an option. I still believe, even if you do have a Facebook profile that's public and you're using that to build your personal brand, I still believe you should create a fan page, because down the track, as your business grows and as you want to scale, you are probably going to want to use Facebook ads at some point. And when you want to establish that, it's good to have that page already established. It's good to have content on there already, and it's good to have already established a bit of a following. So have the fan page. You don't necessarily have to use it to start off with. You could just simply set up an Instagram account and have the content sharing across. So you don't necessarily need to be on all these platforms posting all this new content, but it is something that you should consider having. You should have a pixel set up, and that's a topic for another day, but you should have that being warmed up so that by the time you are ready to do Facebook ads, if you're a year or 2 years into your business, you have data that you've been collecting over time that is going to be invaluable to your results with Facebook ads. So whether you think it's not important to you now, down the line, it is going to be so important to you. So have a Facebook fan page. I can't stress that enough. Now, having a Facebook profile that you're going to use to build your personal brand. If you are wanting to build a personal brand, it needs to be public. And this is why, if you're concerned about some of the content that you share with your friends and family that you don't want going public, then this is why you should consider creating a new profile that you use specifically for business, that you can talk about everything you want to talk about, share your business related content, and go public with it. Because the thing is, if you've got a private profile, then your ideal client can't follow you. They can't see the content you're sharing. They have to friend request you. You're limited to 5,000 friends. And once you reach that cap, you can't add any more. You have to go on these big deleting sprees, and it's a mission doing that. So you want to be public so that people can follow you without having to be your friends. You want to be public so that people can see your content without having to wait for you to approve friend requests. You want to be public so that people can get an idea of who you are without necessarily having to friend request you. And because a lot of the times, especially if you are private, people are a bit more wary because they don't know what you're about and they don't know who you are. And so if you send a friend request to someone and you're private and they don't know who you are, then they're less likely to accept or engage because they can't do a little bit of an analysis of who you are beforehand. So it's really important to have your profile as public so that people can see it. Same on Instagram. You want it to be public so that people can see your content, because sometimes people will just want to have a look and they might want to like and comment without actually following. And sometimes that you'll show up in hashtags. If you're using hashtags and your account is private, then hashtags are completely pointless because you're not going to show up in search results, because you're not searchable to anybody except your friends who you've accepted as your followers. So it's really important to consider these things. If you want to build a personal brand, if you want to build a following, then your account needs to be public so people can find you. And another thing to really think about, especially on the Instagram front, is the type of profile you set up on Instagram. So whether it's public or private, it has to be public if you want to build a personal brand. And you can do the same on Instagram. You could have your Instagram account that you keep private, that's just for your friends and family content. And then you can create another Instagram account still in your name, that's your personal brand account, where you talk more openly about your business, your life, and that kind of stuff, where people can follow along and learn about you and get to know, like, and trust you. And that's where you share your value content. That's where you show up as the business owner that you are, and people will see you establishing that brand and will become really interested in you. And the other thing you need to do is, if you really want to be successful and really get the most out of your Instagram account, you need to change the account to a business account. So it's all nice to have your Instagram account linked to your Facebook profile and to share your fun lifestyle photos across from Instagram to Facebook automatically, and to just share your life on Facebook and Instagram. But if you're building a personal brand, what you really want to be doing is you really want to be seeing the insights. You want to know what content is resonating with your audience. You want to know what content they want to see more of. You want to know what content is getting likes, what content is getting the most comments, what content is getting the most shares, how your hashtags are trending, what kind of content is getting saved by people. And the only way you're going to know that is if you have your Instagram insights. And the only way to get Instagram insights is to set up a creator profile or a business profile. So the way to do that is to set up a Facebook fan page and then link your Instagram account to the Facebook fan page, not profile, fan page. And then what you can do is you can go into your Instagram account settings and you can go switch to business account or switch to creator account. Now, business accounts are good for just like business owners, personal brands, that kind of stuff. Creator accounts are good if you want to go down the influencing path, because that's where you are then going to get access to the different insights and more. You can put things like content sponsored by and things like that. So it just helps to be more transparent. It helps you to provide the right kind of insights to the brands that you're working with, and it's just a little bit different. But for most of our purposes, we're probably going to want business accounts. So the way to do that is to link your Instagram account to a Facebook fan page and then go into your account settings and go to account and go to switch to business account or switch to creator account. And then you'll be able to see what you get when you do that. So it's really important to have a business account, because that's where you're going to get all the really valuable insights that really help you to create the right kind of content that is going to attract your ideal clients and is going to resonate with them. So 2 key things to think about here is profiles should be public if you want people to be able to find you, to see your content, to engage with your content, to get to know, like, and trust you. Because a lot of people, they want to be like the secret followers first before they really get to know you. Some people would just keep coming to your profile and looking at your stuff without following you because they don't necessarily want you to know that they're watching. And so sometimes they just want to be a follower, or they just want to be able to see you in the trending hashtags, and they don't necessarily follow you. So if you're private, they can't see your content, and you're really blocking out a lot of people from being able to find you. And a lot of people want to see your content before they request to follow you because they want to know that they like you. On Instagram, you're only limited to being able to follow 7,500 people. So people are a bit more restrictive about clicking that follow button because they want to make sure that they're following people that are going to fill their feed with the content that they want to see. And yes, they could easily unfollow you if they've requested, and then once they see your profile, they decide your content isn't for them. But it's more of a hassle. People, if your account is private and you make it difficult for people to figure out who you are and what you do, they're gonna just skip by you and go to somebody that makes it easy for them. So you need to make the user experience as easy as possible for your potential client. So that is how you will grow your following. That's how you'll grow your know, like, trust factor, and that's how you will retain a much stronger audience, because people will engage with your content more. They'll be more likely to follow you and they will trust you more. And the final point I want to make, this is a quick, snappy episode today. It's not a topic that needs to go really in depth. It's just something that I did feel was important to elaborate on a bit more because it was hard to type it out in an Instagram comment. I really wanted to explain it in a bit more depth. But one other thing I do want to cover is, you might have seen this meme going around lately about the Dolly Parton challenge, and she has it's a collage of a picture she would put as her Facebook profile, her Instagram profile, her LinkedIn profile, and her Tinder profile, and they're all very different images. And so heaps of people are going around creating their versions of this and just playing the game and taking on the challenge. And what I've seen is that people have very different images that they would put on each platform. But it's a bit of a game, it's a bit of fun. And then what I really like is the ones that play it and they put the same image for each of them, because that's what I do believe. If you want to really establish a strong personal brand, you should be the same on all platforms. You should have that consistency. People should know you for certain things. They should see that you have these same opinions, the same values. You've got a strong brand message. You've got clear branding. You've got the same voice across platforms. You've got consistent images. You've got consistent feeds, that kind of stuff, because that's when you establish personal brand. When you're all over the place and you're very different on platforms, then that's confusing for your audience, because they're going to be like, wait a second, she's saying this thing here, but over here she's acting completely different. Which one's the real her? Is she just trying to do something to impress that audience here? Is that really what she's like? And I know we can all have different kind of personalities, but for the most part, when you're building a personal brand, it's showing all of you anyway. So it should have that consistency across the platforms. And that's just a bit of a fun challenge, so people are having fun with it. I know some of the people that have participated in it, their profiles aren't like what they've actually posted in that meme, because they are consistent and they do have strong personal brands. So it is just a bit of fun, but I thought it was just something worth making mention of, because there are lots of people that do have very confusing personal brands, and they're when you go see them on one platform, they're completely different to the other platform, and it's so confusing. And that is what you want to avoid doing. You want to be consistent on all platforms. You want to really show up as who you are. Let your voice shine through. Let your vision, let your values be who you are. Don't try to hide any part of yourself. I think that's where the confusion comes across on some platforms, because maybe you're more confident on one platform because you're not worried about particular people there, and so you are a bit more open, and then you let your personality shine through more. But then you're a bit more reserved on another platform. That's kind of normal, but just think about these things. Be consistent. Really open up and show who you are on all the platforms, and have that consistent. Think about your brand message. Think about your brand voice. Think about what it is you want to be known for, what you want to be recognized for, what you want to be remembered for, how you want to make people feel, and make sure that that's apparent on all your platforms. So that is all I wanted to talk about today. I really hope you got some value out of this episode. I do have lots of content ready to come out over the next few weeks. I've got my weeks planned out for like 5 or 6 weeks in advance, but I just decided to throw this one in anyway and go totally off my plan, because sometimes that's what I like to do. I like to be spontaneous. So I hope you did get some value out of this topic, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for listening. If you do enjoy my content, if you do want to have your review read, then don't forget to leave a review. It's very easy to do, and I really do enjoy reading them. I really appreciate the time you spend writing them and the time you spend listening to me. Some people have said they've gone back and re-listened to episodes. All of that stuff really means the world to me. So thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And I really do appreciate you. And if there is anything else you want to hear, don't forget to put it in the review. Send me comments. DM me, let me know, because this is about you. I want to help you as much as possible. So let me know what you are struggling with when it comes to personal branding, anything you're unsure about, anything you would love to be covered in more depth. Send me your questions and I will give you the answers. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.